will discuss how to adapt the mobility revolution and transform people at point of sale. So I see Jared Dowdy, Senior Group Manager, National Sales Training at Hyundai. Jared, welcome. And Paul Barnes, Director of Field Deployment at GP Strategies. There you guys are. All right. Jared, Paul, over to you all.
Thank you very much. We wanted to talk to you today about what the new retail reality is really all about. So I wanted to start by asking Jared, you had the idea that in terms of digital retail, it was a lot more than just having an online showroom and customers shopping online. Can you tell me a bit more about what the genesis of the idea for you was about leveraging both the online digital experience as well as the digital showroom?
Yeah. So first of all, thanks for having me. Pleasure to be here this morning. Digital retail, omni-channel gets thrown around a lot. It's the cute buzzword right now. And a lot of dealers, a lot of people out there think that it's just slapping a digital retail tool on your website and hoping that you get more leads. The reality of this is you really need to create, or the premise behind our goals and our initiatives are, you need to create that seamless transition from what the customers see online at home to in-store. So really it's whatever I'm seeing at home and I'm shopping and I'm doing my homework. Once I get to the store, I'm seeing the exact same experience. So that's really the 30,000 foot view or 50,000 foot view of the direction we headed.
This is what we want to talk about and what we want to define. We all know that the environment, we all know why the digital retail reality is so important. And what we want to talk about today is really some experiences that Jared and I have from the front line in terms of how dealers can maximize the value of these tools and thrive by giving customers control of the journey. Jared, can you give me any examples of specific things that you think are most important in terms of the customer journey?
As far as this goes back to when you were frozen for just a moment in time there. It goes back to full transparency for the customer, making sure that they understand that there are no surprises, there's nothing hidden, and just providing them full transparency from online to in-store and back and forth, however many times they go in and out of that purchase funnel.
Yeah, thank you. I mean, how can you give me any examples that you've seen from how customers and dealers have really benefited?
Yeah, we get verbatims. We've started a program which I'm not going to speak about right this second because it's just a new initiative. But we started this program with a few dealerships around the country, and we're getting feedback or verbatims from customers that said, "Hey, I didn't even have to step foot into the showroom. They drove, an hour and a half just to deliver the car to me and make sure everything was good." So it's as far as that and offsite and online sales and delivery. And it's also, we get verbatims from customers saying, "Hey, I had a great experience I was shopping in my living room. When I came into the store, I saw the exact same thing, exactly where I left off, with full transparency." So getting a lot of good verbatims from a lot of the stores out there.
And I think from what I've seen, some of those verbatims are so powerful that, I think you've got a customer for life there. I've seen, and it's hard to get an exact figure on it, obviously, but I've seen people talk about the value of the customer being in the millions of dollars. And some of the verbatims I've seen from people who've been able to shop online, never leave their couch, have the vehicle delivered, those customers are going to come back forever. And I think one of the great recent examples I saw was a dealer that we're working with who's done a really nice job transitioning from a paper-based in-store Foursquare system to layering in the tablet. And they've got customers that are buying vehicles without leaving their home, their trades being picked up. And the verbatims, you almost have to edit them. They're so long and so complimentary of the dealer.
And really, Paul, how do you put a price on that? You really can't. I mean, you say in the millions of dollars, but what really is the price of that? You do have a customer for life. You'll get repeat sales from them. You'll get referrals from them, and that's free advertising that you can't put a price on.
Yeah, so I mean, let's talk about some examples of some of the work we're doing in the field. I mean, some of the common objections that we get and how they've been solved. mean, one of the things that I've seen is, dealers are reluctant to, whether they've got locked or unlocked pricing, they're reluctant to sometimes put the price out front. Tell me what your thoughts are on that.
Well, we'll debate this back and forth.
Yeah.
There's really no wrong or right answer. It's providing customers what they need when they need it. So if you have your pricing locked and you require a bunch of information and you're not getting people through that step, chances are then they're frustrated and they're abandoning, and maybe you do need to look at that and open it up. I've seen with the stores that we work with or the dealerships we work with, I've seen a lot more success with pricing unlocked and not requiring a lead form or information up front. But certainly not to say that you couldn't require that information. I would just say, as a rule of thumb, if you see customers abandoning your digital retail tool or your website because you're requiring a lead form, maybe you need to reconsider that.
Yeah, absolutely. I think that one of the things that we're seeing is that there's an arms race in terms of moving towards transparency and ease of doing business for the customer versus the price war and the race to the bottom that has been happening before. And I'm seeing that in some of the markets that dealers are copying each other in terms of unlocking the pricing, being upfront and transparent, and trying to win the customers through that ease of doing business, making it easy, seamless, and transparent.
Yeah, that's the beautiful thing about this is it's not a race to the bottom. That's the perception that, hey, if I'm transparent and I put my pricing up front, then everybody else knows what it is, and I'm just going to have to race to the bottom, which is not the truth. I mean, think about the shopping that we do on a daily basis. I mean, I think our cul-de-sac has employed or kept Amazon running for the past year and a half. But when you go onto Amazon, nobody questions the price. They may shop around and look for a cheaper product, but they're not questioning the price at all. I mean, they don't call Amazon and try to negotiate. Same with other online retailers, Nordstrom's, anywhere you get onto, people are just used to that. They're used to clicking the button, shopping around, putting into the cart whatever they want, whether that's, service and protection program plans, aftermarket accessories, whatever the case may be. They're used to just clicking it, putting it in a cart, and off they go.
Absolutely. Yeah, I always like the analogy of the Apple store. You don't see any negotiation going on in there.
Yeah.
Good. So in terms of, can you give me your answer to, I know we've a lot of dealers are like, hey, look, it's working right now. Business is actually pretty good. I know we've got challenges with inventory, but the last few months have been great months. Why would I change the way I do business? Why would I change a successful analog way of doing business?
Yeah, so I'm by no means a historian, so I'll butcher the year, but I think it was, I can't remember, 2012, 13. Remember when the tsunami hit and the Japanese automakers had no inventory, and it was the perfect storm for Hyundai, and we had great months and everything was great and hunky-dory. COVID's at the tail end of this thing. Things are starting to open up. The chip shortage isn't going to last forever. So while we're in the perfect storm right now, we're also coming out of that. Because inventory is low and we're going to start running out of inventory. We're not going to have vehicles, at our disposal forever. So, it's great right now, but things will change, and we saw that happen after the tsunami. And the Toyotas of the world and Honda and Nissan started ramping back up and started getting inventory again. They caught up quickly. It didn't take them long. In fact, they surpassed like instantly. So that's why I would say, if you're sitting by idle and waiting, tsunami is going to pass you by.
Absolutely. I think there's never been a better time, and even with the inventory shortage, a great time to say, hey, let's look at how we operate. Let's look at potentially how we could do things better. I think one of the conversations I've enjoyed having with dealers is, let's look at your footprint. Let's look at the footfall in your store. How many customers are coming through the store? And let's say it's on average about 1,000 per dealer. Then, most everyone I've seen has some great data in terms of tracking their website traffic, their online customers through the digital retail store. And on average, we're probably seeing, upwards of 5,000 people in that online showroom. So the conversation quickly becomes, well, how do we unlock and get to and help those customers that are shopping online? and also enable them to transition seamlessly in store. What have you seen the biggest sort of successes and top tips in terms of making that seamless transition from an online experience where the customer's putting on average, I think 17 hours worth of shopping time, to then coming in store?
It's really getting them into the digital retail tool as quickly as possible, transitioning them. I know this is contrary to what we've been taught or what we've heard throughout the years, but getting them off of your website. And we're all proud of our websites. You know, we have a lot of information out there, but that's exactly what that is. There's a lot of information on our websites. Get them into your digital retail tool as quickly as possible, because that's where they're going to stay. You know, the reason they jump around, they do all this research for 17 hours worth, it's because they can't find what they're looking for. So we found, getting them into the digital retail tool as quickly as possible, they stay in there, and then once they come into the store or the dealership, you pick up exactly where they left off, and they're seeing exactly what they saw at on their couch, in their office, fill in the blank, right?
Yeah. Yeah, I think that's great. I think that the game changer that I've really enjoyed over the last year or so is this idea of meeting the customer in store and then checking them in and continuing their journey via a tablet. One of the things I really like that Hyundai has done is just one single sentence has triggered the optimization of tablets in store. It's not perfect yet, but the fact that dealers need to present a customer with a price on a tablet is already having big impacts. It's not perfect yet, but I think the idea of checking a customer in, meeting them where they're at, has been really huge. Can you give me some of the barriers that you've seen in terms of getting dealers to move away from this analog foursquare to the tablet?
Yeah, it's really, well, two things. So one, I just want to touch on what you just said.
Yeah.
Customers are still, let's not forget, customers are still used to coming into a dealership with their guard up. So sometimes they're not even going to tell you that they visited your digital retail tool, because they're going to shop you and make sure that you're honest and transparent. So if we transition quicker and we check everybody into the digital retail tool quicker, immediately upon arrival, we're going to find out, hey, they've already been in there, A, or B, they weren't in there, or they didn't give us information, but they now see that we are transparent and everything's the same. So that's one thing. As far as the roadblocks for dealers adopting that and wanting to go from old school foursquare to digital and tablets, it's that command and control mentality. We want to be in control of the sale, and in reality, we never were in control of the sale. It's always been the customer. We just thought we did. The more, and I know this sounds funny, but the more control you give up to the customer, the higher your grosses are going to be, because that's creating transparency, it's creating honesty, it's building a relationship of trust with that customer immediately, and their wall is going to come down, and everything just goes a lot smoother after that.
That's it. I mean, we've all seen the Vroom ads, the Shift ads. The disruptors are out there, and a comfortable customer is a happy customer who's going to buy readily. And I think, I don't want to throw numbers around, but I think we're seeing 15-17% more F&I presentation when a customer has seen it online before and has presented it on a tablet. So to your point, the grosses are going up. You've got happy customers. And also the big one, I know that we're doing a lot of work on, is trying to make the process more efficient. Why does it need to take 3 hours or 4 hours? If the customer's done a lot of work online, you meet them in store with the tablet, actually there's chances of getting the customer out within the hour. 1 to 2 hours is absolutely possible. And again, when you're going through the verbatims, it's always about the experience, not so much about the great deal they got.
Yeah, no, 100%. It's never about time. It's never about price. It's always about treated me great, met me where I was transparent. It's never, those two words never come up. Time and price never come up when a customer had a great experience through the digital retail tool.
That's it.
There's another thing just popped into my head here, Paul, of why change now, or why do this. We're kidding ourselves if you don't think that Amazon is right behind the Vrooms of the world and the Carvanas, and that they're going to be selling cars on their Amazon website really soon. They're buying up, property by Mannheim Auto Auctions. What does that tell you? They're going to get into this space really soon, so that people just have to click a card, put it in their cart, and off they go. So, you know, if we can get out in front of that, you know, of course, you know, everybody says, oh, they'll never be able to sell new cars. No, true, but a slightly used one. If I can avoid the hassle of going in and getting the heck beat out of me at a dealership to just click a car and put it in my cart and have it delivered to me at home, you know, most customers are in for that.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think we're seeing that, you know, Amazon's a threat to so many other industries as well. And I think one of the things I was discussing this today in terms of language and changing language, you know, when you're online shopping on Amazon, you know, when you click checkout, you know, finalize deal in the digital retail tool, there's no pressure at that point. You've confirmed what you want, and then you go to the payment. And I think it's the same when you finalize deals in the digital tool. It's the equivalent of the checkout. So from first pencil to first click, you know, we've had a little bit of fun trying to shift the language to try and get the buy-in. Let's shift to the impact of this. What other impacts have you seen to using tablets and digitizing the showroom, especially around the people side?
As far as the dealership personnel or the customer?
Dealership personnel, yeah.
Dealership, yeah. You know, it's you go into there, and the fun part of our job is going in and transforming a dealership and seeing them grow, seeing them sell more cars, seeing them make more money. I mean, you have people that were, you know, in a traditional store probably wouldn't sell more than 10 cars if they were lucky, and you see them selling 20, 25 cars a month. Because the process is so easy and it's so transparent. It's, you know, even, you know, everybody says, well, I'm going to lose all my veterans. You're not. Some of the veterans are the ones that are selling the 20, 25 cars that we're selling barely 10 cars prior to. So, you know, from a employee standpoint, they love the transparency. They love that they feel empowered from management to be able to show the customer and to be able to be transparent, not have to go back and forth to the ivory tower to get numbers. So yeah, that's been great. And, you know, and obviously the customer impact has been tremendous, not having to wait and wonder what time they're coming back with the final price or payment. So overall, it's been great for both sides.
Good stuff. So yeah, recruitment, retention, efficiency. I think also, you know, inventory has been, you know, in terms of using the tool to reach out and get trades. I think for me, what I've seen, you know, doing some coaching recently in store, the two very young new staff members recruited by another staff member, minimal or no automotive experience, and coaching them and getting them up to speed through the tool. They, you know, hey, this is an iPad, I'm used to using it. This isn't as complicated as I thought. So the ability to go out and have a wider recruitment base, and also put a tool in a sales agent's hands that is very similar to how the customer sees it, has to me is a great way of doing it. And I think one of the big pluses as well is when you map the process out, you see that the tablet solves some of the pain points the customer has. And I think, you know, I've heard one of my colleagues talk about the analogy of, you know, there's some stores where you will go and have a great experience online, but when you come in store, it feels like you've gone back in time, and the pen and the paper comes out and you've got all the scribbles, and the customer's like, hey, I had such a great experience online. What's going on here?
Yeah. Yeah. You know, the other thing I want to just, you know, debunk this myth altogether. Let's be clear. We're not getting rid of showrooms and dealerships. Yeah. People still want to come in and touch and feel the car. You know, you can see so much online, but I still want to touch it and I still want to feel it and have that experience. It's making sure that the experience they had online is the same that they're having in store. So we're just picking up where they left off. So there is no replacement for showrooms. You're still going to get the walk-in traffic that never visited the digital retail tool or your website. So it's not a replacement.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more. And I think that's one of the things that in the coaching that we've been doing is understanding when to use the tablet and when to put it away. You still want people in the cars, you know, use the tool to make those more painful parts of the process or time consuming ones really efficient, really clear. Use the tool if the customer needs to choose a car, but also know when to put it away and get the customer in the car and out on the test drive and use your personal skills to win them over.
Sure. Yep. Yeah. Absolutely.
Good. Okay. So I think some of the things that we've worked with on in terms of other top tips, top tactics, what top tips and tactics come to mind that you're happy to share?
Stores would be upset with me if I shared a bunch of their secret sauce here, but
Yeah.
some of the more progressive and some, let's go to that. Some of the more progressive and some of the more advanced dealers are going to single point of contact. So, salesperson sees the sale through all the way through F&I and signing paperwork. So, they still have, team administrators, or if you will, come out and sign paperwork, but people are switching over to that mentality. Why? Because you built a relationship with somebody, you trust them, and they're seeing that F&I grosses will go up, switching to that single point of contact. So I'm not saying one price is the answer. I'm just saying be transparent, and some of them have gone to that single point of contact. So that's a little bit of a, without giving away any trade secrets and upsetting the apple cart. That's one of them. Yeah.
I think that it's some of them, it's for me, I've heard you say this a lot, it's about being holistic, making sure that absolutely a process of marginal gain. So is the Wi-Fi 100% all over the lot? Is the onboarding really good? Do we have in-store champions who are going to get extra training and also help some of the other sales agents? Do we have consistency between shifts? Making sure that
Paul, and you bring up great points here. Really, the key to this whole thing is it's really the onboarding and the continual training. We can come in there and train you as much as we want, or as much as you want, and it's great. But as soon as we leave the store, we found things start to drop off a little bit. So it's continually, you've got to find people in the store that can carry this through. Multiple people on different shifts, not just salespeople, but sales managers really need to take pride in this and take ownership of this to make this successful. Otherwise, it's great when we're in store, and it'll be great for a month or so, and then it just goes back to normal, and we'll abandon it because we're not comfortable with it.
Yeah, absolutely. I think for me, it's three distinct phases. You've got that initial engagement phase where you're winning over management, management then are winning over the sales staff to say, look, this is the direction we're going. We're now going to layer in tablets into our in-store process and tweak it a little bit. You've then got that sort of adoption phase, and then to get to what I like to call adaption or optimization, it's that middle phase that's probably the most key, because that's when you've got those various cycles where there's going to be bad weeks and there's going to be better weeks, and that's, to your point, that you've really got to have those key leaders in the business driving it to get to the great place. Quick examples.
Phases. Phases is it. Phases, phasing all of this in. How do you eat an elephant? One bite at a time.
Yeah.
Right. You really have to do that. That's a great point, Paul.
Yeah. And I think, again, I don't want to give away too much, but some of the stores we've seen really good tablet optimization and are having record month after record month after record month. And it's really, really great to promise them this is going to happen at the beginning and say, look, this will change your business in a positive light. And then the smile on the faces when you go back in a month or 2 months later and they're telling you, wow, this happened pretty quickly. This is been us.
Yeah. And we said 60, 90 days and it's going to be painful. And then all of a sudden, a month later, they're having success. So it's great. Yeah.
I know there's some other factors in a minute, but I think other top tips that would also be, the quality of the system and accessing some of the data. Some of the DR tools out there will give you, live tracking of who's doing what, how much time they're in the tool, who's doing the best shares, which customers are clicking on them and opening those shares. And so if you want to do a nice job of coaching or managing those individuals, it's quite quick and easy to see who's doing a nice job, how people are tailoring their messaging to the customer. And I think that's another thing that we've seen stores leverage really well.
Sure. Paul, I think we're getting the hook here. I think we need to
No, you're not getting the hook. Don't say that.
I started slow, but we picked up some speed.
You guys did great. You're on a roll. I was afraid to interrupt you, but so thank you so much again, Jared and Paul. It was a great discussion. The continuation of digital transformation all morning. That's what we've been talking about. Your discussion together this morning just really emphasizes how much disruption there is out there for dealers in the industry and the disruption we're going through. So we have a couple minutes left for a couple questions. So I will jump in. I think, listen, we know that consumer demand is up right now. It's unprecedented, honestly. And interestingly, even though we've got inventory issues, so park that, but we've got customer demand up, unprecedented. How we know that consumers, want to change how they buy cars, right? You mentioned it today. What do you think some of the biggest roadblocks that the manufacturers and the dealers are facing today in order to take a full advantage of this kind of more virtual, personalized experience that the consumers are looking for, right?
Yeah,
And
it's
you
really,
mentioned a couple.
yeah, it's changing our mindsets and shifting. It's a paradigm shift, right? We need to get out of our own ways, get away from those traditional methods, those traditional processes, and get into, we say, hey, the future is coming. The future is here and it's already passed. The quicker we can get into that and adopt that and accept that, the better off we're going to be. I mean, it's already passing some dealers up, and they're having to, relinquish their franchises. So,
yeah. I agree.
Yeah, if I could jump on that as well, I think Jared mentioned it earlier. There's some key questions that you should always be asking yourself on a regular basis, whatever industry you're in. What am I doing? Why am I doing it? Why now? What needs to change? What would happen if I don't do this? So in terms of any initiative, key questions to ask. And I think if not now, when would you ever make a change? It's the perfect time. And one of the questions I like to ask is, if you were starting a new point, what would you do differently in the new point? And I doubt it would involve pens and paper.
Yeah. Sharpies. Yeah.
Agree. I think, Jared, you made a comment about keeping that experience simple and relevant from the online experience to the showroom.
Mm-hmm.
Consumers are expecting hyper personalization at every step of the process in the customer experience. How important do you think it is in the communication with the consumers that we continue to push this one-to-one personalization, which is another theme that we've had all morning this morning? So give us some thoughts on the importance of personalization and communication.
Yeah, no, that's critical. And it's not just critical to have that one-on-one communication. It's critical to have that one-on-one communication and personalization, how the customer wants to receive it. So if they tell you, hey, just text me, don't pick up the phone and ask them to come into the dealership, or send them an email that they'll never read, right? So it's personalizing it. It's making those connections where the customer wants, when they want to do it. So yeah, 100%, yes, one-on-one communication is critical. Building that relationship, building that trust, and doing it the way the customer wants to, when they want it.
All right, Paul, any final thoughts?
Yeah, I couldn't agree more. So, when we've been mystery shopping, there's great when you have, dealers that are keen and are really focused on customer communications. But if it's a shotgun approach and the customer's getting bombarded, that's as good a way to switch them off as not communicating at all. So it has to be quality and it has to be customized.
Couldn't agree more. Well, I think we're kind of running up against the hour here. I want to thank you both for your time, and apologize for the technical difficulties. We're all living in this environment on Zoom, and I don't think Zoom is any of our friends anymore. So we'll be all happy when we get out of this environment. But listen, I think for everyone still listening, as we wrap up, we heard a lot of themes this morning, a lot of disruption. It was probably the most important thing that you've heard today: disruption in the industry, disruption with EVs, how the industry is going to handle that, disruption in the customer communications and hyper-personalization, disruption in digital retailing. We just heard that session today. So again, I think that's the common theme as I think about this and listen to what happened today. Some takeaways: relevancy, hyper-personalizations, and probably the most important thing that we all take away is that the customers are in control. And I think Jared or Paul had made this comment in this session that ever before, we may have always thought we were in control in this industry when, consumers are walking to our dealerships and we had them and we control them. But the reality is consumers have always been in the control, and they're more so in control today than ever before in this industry. And we should all acknowledge that and take advantage of a lot of the ideas and thoughts and trends that we heard today in today's sessions with all of our speakers. So I want to thank all of our speakers. It's been an engaging discussion. I'm honored to be able to MC it.